Howdy guys, it's Joe, and here's some offensive Junkrat, something that you guys probably haven't seen way too often, but today we have a Junkrat only main, or at least mainly Junkrat, tries to pick him whenever we can, on offense, on defense, really whatever. We do see him switching his character at the very end of the game, when Junkrat doesn't fit the team comp way too well, but for the most part, he's playing him and doing pretty well with him, and yeah, overall I'm going to say this guy is really good at Junkrat, and it kind of shows that you can do well as this character. To begin, we saw a really nice play right there where he went up, got the height advantage, which is something that you can do really easily as this character. Of course, you want to pick Junkrat when you're in maps that are very close together. Dorado's really good, Route 66, part of it is really good, the end part I'd say, and some of the beginning. And overall, he can do pretty well. If you can get a height advantage and just burst through the big death ball of the enemies, you can often win with this character, or at least deal a lot of damage. I feel like a lot of people kind of think that, Reaper's supposed to be this anti-tank person, Soldier is, but actually Junkrat, Bastion, those type of characters, they can deal with the giant death ball that people do all the time a lot better than some other characters. That being said, they aren't always as consistent, and when people stop death balling, it can be kind of hard, but still something really cool. Right there we saw something amazing, which is he knew someone was in that building, saw them shooting, and probably heard them as well, jumped up all right there, and then of course just ulted around the corner. I would not think that most people would do that, and of course getting a height advantage to use your ultimate, it's a great idea. Getting close to them before you use your ultimate, it's a great idea. Going straight around corners and going straight for your ultimate, that's a great idea as well. You want to make sure that they aren't really ready for that thing, as if they are, they can just pop it and becomes pretty useless, while at the same time, if you do it just as this guy had, you can make so that you're generally pretty safe. Right there we saw something nice, which was that he threw out his shift, and then he shot a bullet, and then he blew up his shift a second later, so that he could instantly get all his burst out at the same exact time and go straight to the soldier. I see quite often people shooting and then throwing out their shift, or the other hand, throwing out their shift, blowing it up, and then shooting. You can just do it both at the same time and do pretty well. So yeah, just do that. It's overall the best combo to do as this character. Continuing from there though, for the most part, he just kind of has to run around in the back line, make sure that he's playing really safe, try to either burst people with his combo, that being his bullet and then a shift, or I guess there's grenade and then a shift, or on the other hand, he can happen to stay really far back and just again shoot straight into the death ball, try to kill people like this, the supports, and essentially kill them pretty easily. Junkrat can kill people pretty quickly, and even on offense, where he's definitely, in most people's opinion, not nearly as good, well, you could see him still doing pretty well. Where here we saw him go for his ultimate, maybe a bit of a waste right there. Well, whatever, he was just guessing, trying to see where people would be. And you can see that you can use your ultimate actually really fast as this character, and you shouldn't really try to save it way too much, as it's probably going to be destroyed anyways, and it's just in a lot of cases it's better to go for it quickly and continue from there. Alright, there we saw something great, which is that you can A, put traps behind you, or B, throw your shift right behind you and just burst straight through these really squishy characters. With people like Genji and people like Tracer, especially Genji, just throw your E or throw your trap straight on the ground and then fight around that trap, and then you can just get straight through it. And as well, if you see them anywhere low health, you can just burst straight through them with that shift. It does an insane amount of damage, and of course, yeah, you can just kind of use this as a really nice burst character. I feel like a lot of people just kind of throw their shift in to the enemy team all the time. They never really try to get that many kills with it, but you can see that it actually does a huge amount of damage. As well, like, nice thing I want to say is that if you are next to your team and you feel like you're pretty safe, you can actually barrel stuff people pretty well as this character. You might take a little bit of damage, but if you walk straight up melee range, you're not going to miss, and you're going to overall deal a lot more damage. You do about as much as fair, I'm pretty sure, so it's pretty good. You can burst through people in 1 or 2 shots for the most part. If you're against tanks, of course, you want to stay back. But against squishies, you actually can beat the majority of them straight up close range if you make sure to keep your combo ready, that being your explosive and your primary fire. But yeah, putting those two together can help you beat people really fast. And as well, thing that we also have to mention, you see that he's pretty much always shooting. He's never really just waiting, holding his shots back. There's no reason not to shoot as a projectile character like Junkrat. You can just shoot around the corner, get a lot of damage, and if you miss, well, you have AoE damage out on the ground that might happen to hit people. You see him right there shooting at their base, shooting at where they might be. If you're playing Junkrat, you should honestly just always be shooting. Of course, you can see him reloading, going back for a second to reload, but other than that, there's no real reason not to do this. And going through all of this, he essentially got a huge amount of damage, the most for his entire team, and helped them push all the way up. Of course, on offense, people would normally say that Junkrat's not that great, and of course, especially playing against a Fair on offense, it can be kind of hard. But as we saw right there, with his use of height, he still did pretty well, and especially versus a Widowmaker, which would traditionally counter this character. If you just kind of position yourself actually semi-close against a lot of these squishier characters, you can act more as a burst character than just simply a spamming into the enemy team. Of course, you want to do both, but, you know, whatever. Right there, of course, you see the normal jank thing from Junkrat, which is just to shoot into their spawn, throw down your shift, and then just try to explode them right at the beginning. No reason not to do that. You can get an extra pick and maybe save your team 15-20 seconds, depending on how long it takes for the enemy team to regroup. Right here, we see that the enemy team has a Pharah, so this might be a little bit hard to deal with as Junkrat, because you can't really kill her, or at least I think I saw a Pharah. But anyways, if they did have a Pharah, I'd say it's kind of hard to play as Junkrat against that character, as if you are on certain maps like Dorado, you can still do okay, mainly because you can just throw up your shift and blow straight through them. But on the other hand, if you are in a lot bigger maps, a lot more open maps, you can't really. Right there we saw just that though, where he just throws a shift straight to where the Pharah is going and blows them up. You do a ton of damage to this character. It's really hard for you to actually body shot them with your normal primary fire, but if you do just save that to try to kill the Pharah particularly, you can pretty well. You do have to make sure that you are talking with your teammates, everybody's ready, and that you plus the soldier, or you plus even the mercy pistol, or you plus something is going to deal damage to the Pharah, because you as yourself, you can't really kill her. But if you have someone else, really anybody else, you can do well. Right here we see he's standing semi-close. This is normally where he stands, semi-close, where he can barrel stuff people if he needs to, as we see right here, while at the same time, he's far enough away where he can't just spam into the enemy team. Right there he went a little bit ham, got straight into the melee range, but still, we saw that it was a good idea. And right here, he has his ultimate up, so he could go for his ultimate, and that seems to be what he's doing. Or, on the other hand, he could just keep spamming into them. As you see, there's not really any bad part about it. And of course, as Junkrat, a good idea is to either stand yourself right next to a door, because you can just run behind it, place a trap down, and people can't really follow you, or you can just instantly burst through them. Or as well, you can try to be right next to high ground, where you can just instantly escape. A lot of people kind of underestimate the power of that, but yeah, that's a really strong thing to do. Right here we see him, of course, inside of this door. The enemy team has to either jump in, where he can do a lot of damage, or they just have to let him spam into the enemy team and get a lot of damage. It's kind of like a win-win for him either way. Fortunately, they got a full team wipe right there, but it was a really good idea, and it did actually work pretty well for his team, and they got quite a few seconds out just doing that. Now, of course, he just has to get straight back onto the point, and what you can do is just bop yourself up with that shift, blow yourself up, and right here we see, make sure to get the high ground, and you can actually shoot over places like this and maybe get a little bit of damage. Of course, the enemy supports are just going to heal it up, but what you can do, oh, that was great, it's jumping straight on and then barrel stuffing, but what you can do is charge up your ultimate. And yeah, we saw a really nice thing right there, barrel stuffing people when they are pretty far away. A lot of times as Junkrat, you're like, you know, I could never get to that person, but if you just happen to essentially rocket jump up to them, you can actually kill a lot of people at much further range than what you would normally suspect. Alright, though, you know, we're just continuing, shooting as much as we possibly can to that point. And this point is especially hard to deal with, unless they have a lot of characters that can go upstairs. If they can go upstairs, it can become kind of hard, because then you have to spam it 2 different directions. But otherwise, you can just shoot down that hole, and then the Reinhardt's going to be in big trouble. Alright, here's trying to get above this. Kind of miscalculated that first one, but whatever. And now we're seeing if there's anyone coming around the side. That was a really cool move, where he made so that if a Genji or if a Pharah or if anybody tries to come around the side like that, even a Hanzo, tries to come around the side, he'll know that they're going to be there. And yeah, you can essentially just get a lot of really nice data about where the enemy team's going to be with your trap. A lot of people just kind of throw it into the enemies and hope that it's going to get you killed all the time, but it's not always worth it. Right here, of course, he knows that the enemies are probably going to start engaging, put it right there for safety instead of for scouting out, because he already knows the enemies aren't going to be scouting out because they're right here, and then eventually just try to spam right into them as much as possible. As you see, his aim is really good for Junkrat, but even so, you don't really have to be the best aim in the entire universe. It's mainly about positioning. If you can make sure that you are knowing when to stay really far back and spam, and knowing when to actually get pretty close, barrel stuff, and burst people, then you're going to be able to do pretty well and actually win quite a few games. As well with this, I feel like a lot of people are probably going to rage at you for playing this character, and quite a few people do. And this guy, even the games before these games that we're watching right now, he had a few people rage at him, so of course he had to switch. And he even had some people that just wouldn't even play with him as Junkrat and just threw the games. But I'd say, you know, just keep going with it. Just keep playing the character you like to play, and you can win quite a few games. And of course, you can show people that you are good at the character, and especially if you have a lot of time on quick play with them or a lot of competitive time, maybe show them that and say, I'm really good at this character. Let's give it a go. And then, of course, finally, he did switch to Winston, as it pretty much countered the team comp that they switched to, and it made so that he could do pretty well. So, as always, you should know when to switch when you want to switch. Even on defense, where Junkrat is very, very good, some tanks can do better some of the time. As well, though, just Junkrat's a really good DPS character, can deal a lot of damage, and especially beats that death ball. If the enemy keeps death balling every single time, Junkrat's a really nice pick to counter that, as he's not quite as immobile as Bastion, can jump up in the air, can save himself a little bit. Well, if they are splitting up a lot, trying to flank around a lot, you could try a different character, as it's a little bit harder for you to deal with that. Not impossible, because of your traps, but of course just a little bit harder, and you aren't quite as effective. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Of course, the gameplay did end, and we got a little bit of Winston gameplay, because that's who we switched to. Sorry about that. I wish I could have shown you all the way through with Junkrat, but just didn't happen to play that. Anyways, really like this player. Make sure to check him out in the description below. And as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.